Robert Sterling was the circle's golden boy. Drinking, chasing women, racing cars, brawling, he was skilled at it all. But after he started dating me, he gave it all up. He doted on me deeply. What he didn't know was that I had already seen his chat history. Honestly, I've grown tired of her. 7 years with the same face, I'm sick of looking at it. You're the one I like now, my little canary. Waiting outside the bridal shop, the sun was scorching. Robert Sterling took the assistant's umbrella and held it over me himself. As the circle's golden boy, he was used to everyone waiting on him wherever he went. After he was with me, he started waiting on me instead. At first, his friends just thought he was just trying something new with me. But we'd been together for 7 years, and he treated me with more and more care each day. It completely shocked his friends. The store employee who greeted us said with a hint of envy, "Mr. Sterling is so good to Ms. Miller." Hearing that, Robert Sterling smiled at me, looking for praise. But my heart just ached slightly. Ignoring his gaze, I walked straight towards the dressing room. Robert Sterling had ordered 15 of the latest wedding dresses and gowns, all personally selected by him according to my preferences. As I put on my makeup, he leaned against the doorframe, watching me, his gaze so focused it was as if only I existed. Dress after dress. By the end, I felt a bit impatient, but he remained completely engrossed, even offering modification suggestions to the designer. All just to achieve the most perfect effect. The employees gathered around me, their voices full of admiration. Ms. Miller, the gentleman who came for fittings before would look seriously at first, but then they'd lose patience. Mr. Sterling is the first I've seen who's been this focused from start to finish. Ms. Miller, you're so lucky. Mr. Sterling truly loves you. Loves me? I turned to look at Robert Sterling not far away. The moment our eyes met, he offered a soft smile. Tender as water. He was like a completely different person from the cold, brooding Sterling air portrayed in the media. This was his special favoritism towards me. But if he truly loved me, why would he be secretly keeping another woman in a villa in the suburbs? He called her Little Canary. What an intimate and ambiguous nickname. Everyone in the circle knew that Robert Sterling loved me. Before he was with me, he was the circle's big bad wolf, skilled at clubbing, drinking, chasing women, and fighting. But since we started dating, he gave it all up. Simply because I said I didn't like the smell of alcohol, he stopped frequenting bars and even avoided drinking during business dinners. He'd ask for my opinion even before meeting friends, and he'd steer clear of any women who got close to him. All because he was afraid I'd be unhappy. At one banquet, a rich young lady who liked him made snide remarks about me. He immediately drove her out with a cold face, and I never saw her again after that. Later, I found out that girl was ruined her and her family's standing in the circle by Robert Sterling. For this, Robert Sterling had to ask his father for help, the price being giving up his life of partying and drinking and studying business management to eventually take over Sterling Corporation. This was something Robert Sterling had always been most unwilling to do. But for me, he did it gladly. It was then that everyone finally realized Robert Sterling wasn't just playing around with me. He needed only me. It wasn't surprising his friends thought that way. After all, he was the circle's golden boy, and I was just a news anchor. Vast difference in status and class. I had also been afraid of his parents' attitude, but the first time I went to his house, Aunt Eleanor's tone was gentle and kind. Sterling told me he decided on you, and would only choose you for life. No one else, no matter how good, would do. He repeatedly warned me not to make things difficult for you, or he wouldn't come back. Sarah, I should thank you. If it weren't for you, Sterling wouldn't have gotten on the right path for who knows how long. I felt both shy and moved. Moved by everything Robert Sterling had done for me. That night, he held me close, lightly kissed my forehead, his voice low and gentle. Sarah, I love you. I held him tightly, thinking I had found a ray of light in my life. But in just 7 short years, this man who said he loved me, when talking about me with another woman, spoke with such disdain. Been with her for 7 years, I'm really grown tired of her. If it wasn't for my mom liking her, I would have broken up a long time ago. But she loves me so much, she'd probably go crazy if I broke up with her. Ha ha ha. You're the one I like the most now, my little canary. Each word was a knife, drawing blood. After selecting the wedding dresses and gowns, the sky had already darkened. Robert Sterling drove me home. He made me a cup of tea to warm my stomach, his words sounding a little distant in the living room. Sarah, I still have to go to the company to handle today's meeting. I probably won't be back until late. Go to bed first. Don't wait up for me. I gently tugged on his sleeve. Can't you not go? He paused. I noticed him lightly rubbing his left hand, a small habit he had when thinking. But in the end, he shook his head and said softly, this meeting is very important. I have to go back. I watched him for a long time, trying to see if there was even a hint of guilt in his eyes. But there was nothing. Sarah, how about I come back to be with you as soon as I'm done? He pulled me into his embrace, gently trying to soothe me. I hid the bitterness in my eyes, letting the tears fall silently. Okay, go ahead. He coaxed me for a long time, then leaned in to kiss my cheek before leaving, but I turned away. He thought I was just being moody and smiled, a helpless yet doting look on his face. Then he turned and left without hesitation. I watched the direction he left in, and a moment later, I picked up my car keys and followed him. The destination was a villa in the suburbs. I hid around the corner, watching him input the password, when a woman threw herself into his arms. The woman was wearing a black silk bunny-made outfit, her voice soft and alluring. Master, you're finally here. Robert Sterling's eyes were full of desire. He lowered his head and kissed the woman, then picked her up impatiently and entered the villa. That night, I stood outside the villa for a long time. Only when I was completely chilled did I turn and leave. In fact, I wasn't surprised by Robert Sterling's plans for that night. His chat history with his little canary started 3 years ago. Mr. Sterling, thank you for driving me home. I finally got to ride in the CEO's passenger seat. It's nothing. It ended yesterday, little canary. Tomorrow I'm going with her to pick out wedding dresses. I'll come to your place in the evening. Wear that for me. Got it, Master. The picture was of a woman kneeling, wearing a black silk bunny-made outfit. I just held on to one last shred of hope for Robert Sterling, thinking he would stay because I asked him to. But he didn't. Not even a trace of guilt. When Robert Sterling came home, I was sitting on the sofa, staring blankly. I wasn't waiting for him to return. My heart was just too heavy. I couldn't sleep. He walked in quietly, afraid of waking me. But he turned his head and saw me staring at him without blinking. He was startled, and seeing how listless I looked, with dark circles under my eyes, his heart ached. Sarah, why aren't you asleep yet? I told you not to wait up for me. He took my hand and found my fingers were ice cold. A hint of anger flashed in his eyes. Sarah, why are you so disobedient? Your hands are so cold, and you didn't turn on the AC. Do you want to get sick and worry me to death? It was rare for him to snap at me, especially because he was worried about my health. At this moment, my heart felt clogged with a knot of frustration. It wouldn't go up, it wouldn't go down. Especially the lingering scent of perfume on him that wouldn't dissipate. It made me vividly recall what he had done today, and the woman's bursts of flirtatious laughter. It was like an iron hammer hitting my heart again and again, smashing it bloody and bruised, shattering it, dripping with fresh blood. Suddenly, I didn't want to pretend anymore. I was the one hurt, I was the one betrayed. Why should I tolerate it? I looked up at him, interrupting his words. Robert Sterling, I saw it. Your chat history with her. Actually, I didn't intentionally go through Robert Sterling's phone that day. We had been together for 7 years. I believed he loved me, and I was willing to trust him. But that night, for some reason, I suddenly woke up. Robert Sterling, who had been working late the night before, was fast asleep. I saw his phone screen flashing. Worried it was something work-related, I opened it to check. The first thing I saw was, Master, were you satisfied with the service last night? Followed by several extremely explicit photos. My hand trembled in shock, and my mind went completely blank. My first reaction was disbelief that Robert Sterling would betray me. But, with trembling hands, I scrolled up through the chat history, page after page, line after line. The frequency of their conversations was so high that it took me over an hour to scroll back to the beginning. It was 3 years ago. Mr. Sterling, thank you for driving me home. I finally got to experience riding in the CEO's passenger seat. Also, thank you for gracing my home with your presence for dinner. The time was 9:10 p.m. on March 25th. I remember, that day was my birthday. But Robert Sterling was late. He kept me waiting at home for 3 hours. He said it was due to company matters and apologized repeatedly. Of course, I didn't blame him. I even comforted him and felt sorry for him. Now I know, that day, he was driving a female employee home and even stayed for dinner at her place. That's why he was delayed. I guess the atmosphere must have been wonderful. Wonderful enough to make Robert Sterling forget I was waiting at home for my birthday. Forget all his promises to me. Choose to spend time with another woman. From that day on, Jessica was transferred to his side and became his personal assistant. Even working together day and night, their online conversations never stopped. From initially asking about work-related questions, it slowly evolved into discussing daily life, and finally turned into sparks of romance between a man and a woman. Robert Sterling would drive her home before picking me up from work. He would help her with work-related issues and even fired the male boss who was targeting her. When he picked out gifts for me, he would also get one for Jessica. Jessica just complained about wasting time commuting, and Robert Sterling bought her a house near the company. Jessica was overjoyed and offered to thank Robert Sterling. And then they had sex for the first time. Master, I'm waiting for you here. Okay. The location was a hotel not far from our home. What was I doing at that time? I think back. I remember. I was packing a suitcase for Robert Sterling. He told me he was going on a business trip. But he never came back, so I called him. Robert Sterling told me he would be home soon. His voice was a little breathless. He was probably messing around with Jessica in bed at that moment. But I had no idea. I was truly foolish. Foolish enough to be completely oblivious to everything. Foolish enough to believe Robert Sterling again and again. That night, I don't remember how long I sat there, or how many times I read the chat history back and forth. Finally, I replied to Jessica with 3 words, very satisfied. Then I unsent it, pretending that nothing had happened. But I knew Jessica saw it. And she must have guessed it was me who sent it. That's why she specifically sent me the time of their date afterwards. I saw with my own eyes how impatient this man, who repeatedly told me he loved me, was when faced with the temptation of another woman. The living room light was dim, casting shadows on Robert Sterling's face. It revealed the confusion in his eyes. Sarah, what chat history? I patiently explained, 7 years, I'm already grown tired of her. You're the one I like. If I broke up with her, she'd definitely go crazy. With each sentence, his face turned paler. Until finally, he gripped my wrist tightly, trembling uncontrollably, and begged me, Sarah, stop. I looked down at him, and tears fell uncontrollably. Robert Sterling, when you were with her, did you ever think of me, even once? If you were really grown tired of me, you could have just told me. Would I have clung to you? We've been together for 7 years, we were about to get married. Why would you do this to me? Why did you keep lying to me? You lied to me for 3 years, my accusations, my hysterical crying, none of it could match even a fraction of the pain in my heart. It was like my heart was on a grill, being roasted. Half bloody and bruised, half shattered and bleeding. It hurt. It truly hurt so much. In fact, the moment I saw the chat history, the explicit photos, and even when I saw them intimately intertwined, I didn't cry. I couldn't cry. I didn't know what to cry about. But, at this very moment, seeing Robert Sterling's concern for me, I knew him. Robert Sterling's love for me was real. And precisely because it was real, it made me feel even more disgusted. My sobbing echoed in the living room. Again and again. Robert Sterling Fran. Tikali pulled me into his arms, his voice low and trembling. Sarah, I'm sorry, I lost my mind, I swear I only love you. It didn't mean anything with her. I was wrong, okay? In the past, when he did something wrong, he would look this pathetic, and I would always soften. But this time, I wouldn't. I slowly but firmly pushed him away. Robert Sterling, we're over. His eyes instantly turned red, as if he was about to cry the next second. Sarah, I don't agree. Robert Sterling, don't touch me. You're too dirty. My words made Robert Sterling's face turn deathly pale, and he subconsciously loosened his grip. I looked at him for a long time, then smiled brightly. Here, take this back. Give it to your little canary. Anyway, I don't need it anymore. I took off the engagement ring and placed it in his palm. My fingertips were cold. He instinctively tried to grasp it, but only caught air. I got up, walked to the bedroom, grabbed the suitcase I had already packed, and headed for the door without looking back. Behind me, I suddenly heard Robert Sterling's hurried footsteps, but they stopped about half a meter away from me. His low voice was hoarse. Sarah, can you really not forgive me this time? I paused. But I didn't turn around. Robert Sterling, goodbye. After leaving, I returned to my own apartment. After my dad passed away unexpectedly, my mom remarried when I was 10 and had my sister, who is now 17. This apartment was left by my dad, and my mom transferred it to my name when I became an adult. She certainly loved me, but she loved my little sister more. It's human nature, I can understand. I never wanted to disturb her new life. My relationship with her, if I had to describe it, would be 8 words, not intimate enough, more than a little distant. My breakup with Robert Sterling, involving canceling the engagement, was no small matter. I arranged a time with her and went to her place a few days later to tell her. As I was leaving, I accidentally knocked over and broke a clay figure on the cabinet. I glanced at it and closed the door. I explained the reason for the breakup. I didn't hide anything. She was silent for a long time before saying, Sarah, you were with him for 7 years, turning him from a playboy into the Mr. Sterling he is today. Are you really willing to just let go and hand him over to another woman? Aren't you unwilling? I was taken aback for a moment. She continued, you have leverage over him now. He definitely won't dare to make mistakes in the future, and even if he does, you can use this to maximize your own interests. Besides, Robert Sterling hasn't mentioned your breakup, so he probably still genuinely cares about you, and that woman was just playing around. Take advantage of the fact that your breakup hasn't been widely publicized yet. There's still a chance to turn things around. She analyzed my situation, appearing so calm, like a robot or a smart computer. But she didn't sound like a mother. I looked at her and suddenly asked, Mom, if my sister's boyfriend cheated on her, would you advise her the same way? Advise her to tolerate the betrayal and pursue maximum benefit? Well, of course not. Before she finished speaking, her face suddenly darkened, and a hint of embarrassment flashed in her eyes. Sarah, that's not what Mom meant, I know. I know she wasn't trying to harm me. She just didn't love me that much. Because she didn't love me that much, she was calm. If it were my sister, she probably would have been furious by now. I should have realized this a long time ago. But my heart still ached a little. I forced a small smile. Mom, I understand. Before I left, she looked at my drawn face, and a hint of heartache appeared between her brows. Sarah, you need to be okay. Before I could answer, a girl's sweet voice suddenly echoed from inside the house. Mom, I'm hungry. A smile bloomed on my mother's face as she closed the door and went back inside. My little princess, dinner has been ready for ages. Her voice was incredibly gentle. During this, she didn't even look at me once. I blinked my dry eyes and turned to leave. Back home, the clay figure lay quietly on the floor, shattered. I picked up a piece of the figure. It had words carved on it, Robert Sterling only loves Sarah Miller. This was a gift he gave me on our first date. It was a specific afternoon, and Robert Sterling was squeezed into a pottery studio with a bunch of children, looking clumsy yet adorable. Someone who recognized him even took a photo. His reputation wasn't good back then. He changed girlfriends as often as he changed clothes. I was also labeled the Circle's golden boy's new plaything. I didn't actually care. But he did. He immediately contacted the media to delete the video and personally registered a Twitter account to announce our relationship. Sarah Miller is my wife, I am her plaything. Suddenly, the internet exploded. I went to him and told him he didn't have to debase himself for me, that I didn't care about the rumors. Sarah, this is how I truly feel. I can't even bear to hurt you myself, let alone others. I want you to always stand in front of the media spotlessly clean. I will never allow anyone to tarnish your skirt. I still remember his expression at that moment. Focused, serious, and deeply affectionate. Even though everything is a complete mess now, I cannot deny that in that moment, he truly loved me. Later, I went for an interview in a remote area and encountered a landslide. I was buried for a day and a night. When I woke up again, I was in the hospital. Robert Sterling was by my side. Seeing me wake up, he calmly called the doctor to examine me. As the doctors surrounded me, I saw him standing far away, and I felt wronged and scared. I called out to him, Sterling, with just that one word. He suddenly started crying without warning. He grabbed my hand and kissed it again and again. His tears landed on the back of my hand, hot and intense. Sarah, you scared me to death. During my hospital stay, he took care of me meticulously. After I was discharged, he dropped his work and stayed by my side every single step of the way. His secretary's calls even came through to me. Sterling, you don't need to be this worried about me. I'm really okay. I'll be very careful in the future. Go to work with peace of mind. Robert Sterling, I'm not a child anymore. I can protect myself. I coaxed him for a long time, even getting a little frustrated, before he finally agreed to go to work. I thought that would be the end of it. But when I woke up late one night, I found Robert Sterling talking on the phone on the balcony. Mom, Sarah was covered in blood when she was rescued. My heart was shattered at that moment. I couldn't sleep. I was afraid she'd disappear. Mom, I'm truly afraid of losing her. His voice trembled uncontrollably, hoarse and choked up. At that moment, I realized he wasn't just overly anxious. He was just too worried about me. And I had actually snapped at him. I walked over and hugged him, crying uncontrollably. I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. He hung up the phone, his eyes red-rimmed, and held me tightly. That night, we were like two vines intertwined, tightly and seamlessly wrapped around each other. At that time, I truly believed that there could be someone in this world who loved me so profoundly. But tell me, how did it all change so quickly? My mom asked me if I was unwilling. I was unwilling. But just like this clay figure, it was already broken. No matter how unwilling I was, it had to be thrown away. After my leave ended, I returned to work at the TV station. As soon as I got to the office, I saw a bouquet of red roses on my desk, and another bouquet, and another. 7 days of leave meant 7 bouquets of flowers, vibrant and passionate, wishing you a happy day. There was no name, but everyone knew who sent them. Sarah, I'm so jealous of you. After 7 years, Mr. Sterling is still like he's in the honeymoon phase, sending flowers every day. I heard you two are getting engaged soon. Good news is coming. Don't forget about us. My colleagues teased me with smiles. Normally, I would just blush and smile back. But now, I only felt it was ironic. Honeymoon phase? Robert Sterling had already grown tired of me. But he used these little tricks to fool me for 7 years. Playing me for a complete fool. I picked up the roses and threw them into the trash can in front of everyone. Looking back at their expressions, which were either stunned or surprised, I said every word clearly, we're not getting married. Robert Sterling and I broke up. As soon as the words fell, the entire studio went silent. Everyone exchanged glances. Just then, a figure walked in. It was Robert Sterling. Deep and complex emotions churned in his eyes. In contrast, Jessica, standing behind him, showed undisguised smugness and delight. Perhaps she thought she had finally replaced me, or perhaps she felt she could now move up. I didn't care. My gaze settled on Robert Sterling, and I smiled gently. Sterling, Don't you think what I said is right? He looked at me in silence, and I met his gaze. After a long time. His eyes were red-rimmed, his voice a little hoarse. Sarah, I don't agree. I don't agree to the breakup. Jessica's face instantly turned pale. She looked at Robert Sterling in disbelief. But she received no response from him. She could only look at me nervously. Afraid I wouldn't leave Robert Sterling. My tone was light. Robert Sterling, you know, I never look back once I've made a decision. Since I said it was over, it wouldn't start again. I blocked all of Robert Sterling's contact information. All the gifts he sent me, I sent them back to his company, untouched. He had always been proud. And after hitting a wall repeatedly, he probably found it uninteresting. So he stopped bothering me. I focused all my energy on work. Professor Miller arranged for me to attend a seminar abroad and relax at the same time. I agreed. I finished handing over my work, and by the time I got home, it was already dark. From a distance, I saw a figure standing downstairs. Tall and straight. With just one glance, I recognized who it was. He didn't notice me, he was on the phone. His voice was low, with a hint of impatience and frustration. I already gave you money to get lost, didn't you hear me? If you're pregnant, terminate the pregnancy. I won't let you have the child. His words stopped the moment he saw me. He hung up the phone and walked towards me. Sarah, you're back. Is the TV station very busy? Why are you back so late? You're usually a light sleeper and need more rest. I glanced at him. Robert Sterling, that's my business. I walked past him, intending to go straight upstairs. Sarah, wait. Robert Sterling grabbed my wrist. But the next second, I violently shook off his hand, my gaze fixed on him, cold and piercing. Don't touch me. You're dirty. This was a sharpness Robert Sterling had never seen before. It startled him into letting go, but afraid I would leave, he blocked my path and handed me a first aid kit he had prepared, his voice tense. Sarah, I heard you're going abroad. It's dry there, and your skin is prone to allergies. I prepared allergy medication for you. Take it with you, it'll be convenient if you get an allergic reaction. His posture was very low. He looked disheveled and humble. His handsome face was pale, his eyes were bloodshot, his tone was gentle, even carrying a hint of pleading to appease me. It was completely different from the cold disdain in his voice when he was on the phone. Was he trying to please me? I looked up at him but hesitated to take the things he offered. 5 minutes, 10 minutes p. Asked. Robert Sterling's eyes turned red bit by bit, and his lips pursed together in a wronged expression. How ridiculous. He was the one who betrayed me. But now, he was the one looking pitiful, trying to appease me. In the end, I still didn't accept his attempt at reconciliation. I said softly but firmly, Robert Sterling, don't look for me again. Not hating you is already my limit. Half a month after going abroad, I received an email. It was a prenatal checkup report. And a few photos. Jessica was lying in bed, her face flushed, her body wrapped in red silk ribbons, and Robert Sterling was lying still beside her. I'm pregnant with Sterling's child. Robert's wife can only be me. He's been with me for 3 years now. He told me you were like a dead fish in bed, completely boring. He loves me. We'll get engaged and married in the future. Since you've left, don't come back and bother us anymore. Every word was an assertion of dominance, a boast of Robert Sterling's favoritism towards her, but her guilt was obvious. I thought, so that day, Robert Sterling was on the phone with Jessica, telling her to terminate the pregnancy. It was quite funny. Robert Sterling was so heartless, yet Jessica was still dreaming of marrying into the Sterling family with the child. I thought about it and printed out the email as is. I mailed it to Sterling Corporation and sent a congratulatory message. Congratulations, Mr. Sterling, on your child. During this study trip, I had exchanges with internationally renowned anchors. I learned a lot of experience. After returning to the country, I applied this experience to my work, which became even more effortless. Soon, I got a chance for promotion. Professor Miller called me into her office and smiled. You've always been excellent. In fact, You should have been in this position 3 years ago, but you refused. Are you still going to refuse now? 3 years ago. At that time, I was so afraid that Robert Sterling would be accused of unfairness and resource favoritism that I refused the promotion without thinking. I felt I had failed my own efforts and Professor Miller's expectations, and I even cried about it twice secretly. But at that time, Robert Sterling was secretly sleeping with Jessica. Thinking about it now, I was truly foolish and naive. I smiled slightly, my eyes sparkling with determination. No, I won't. I will never refuse an opportunity like this again. After being promoted, my work became even busier. So busy that when I saw Robert Sterling again, I realized it had been almost a year since I last saw him. And in this past year, I hadn't thought of him even once. I could even smile and nod at him. I still remembered how much I hated him, clenching my teeth, right after we broke up. Thinking about it now, it feels like clouds drifting by. Not worth mentioning. As I walked past him, he called out to me, "Sarah, can I talk to you?" Seeing the stubbornness in his eyes and people coming and going nearby, I agreed. I led him to a nearby coffee shop. The aroma of coffee beans filled the air. Faint, but pleasant. Robert Sterling didn't speak for a long time, just watched me in silence. I took a small sip of coffee. "I heard you were getting engaged to Ms. Jessica. Did it go smoothly?" "It was cancelled." He clenched his fists abruptly, frustrated and helpless. The child she was carrying wasn't mine at all. I looked up at him and noticed he looked unusually drawn today. His face was pale as paper, with dark circles under his eyes. He looked completely dejected. I chuckled softly. I guess what goes around comes around. He froze for a moment, then looked up at me, as if he hadn't expected me to kick him while he was down. But I would. I looked at him calmly, every word laced with cold sarcasm. The betrayer gets betrayed. That's only right. That day, Robert Sterling was probably hurt by my sharpness and ended up running away. Although I didn't see him, I would hear news of him from time to time. After all, he was the circle's golden boy, and countless eyes were on him. Any little stir, we as media people would be the first to know. Besides, we had a dramatic history together. Sarah, I have big news for you. Robert Sterling's new fiancée, Jessica, caused a scene at Aunt Eleanor's birthday party. She said the Sterling family looked down on her, that Robert Sterling forced himself on her, and then forced her to terminate the pregnancy. A lot of people from the circle were there at the time. Many who didn't like the Sterling family immediately created a scandal about the Sterling family's disgrace, and even dug up Robert Sterling's past deeds, like drinking and fighting, attending letter parties. Who knows if it's true or false, but it really did hurt Sterling Corp's business, and their stock has dropped recently. Drinking and fighting. That was true. After all, Robert Sterling did have a hot temper back then. But attending letter parties, at this point, black silk bunny-made outfit and the explicit, flashy private photos Jessica sent suddenly flashed through my mind. I understood everything. So, Robert Sterling liked that kind of thing. And well, I couldn't accept that. No wonder he cheated with Jessica for so many years. Besides seeking thrills, Jessica could probably satisfy his perverse desires. But none of that mattered to me anymore. I sighed, but my eyes were full of laughter. That's really, truly pathetic. 2 years later, I was promoted again. Professor Miller retired, and I took over her position, becoming the youngest station director. But my excellence and achievements left no doubt about my qualifications for the position. As for Robert Sterling, the next time I saw him was during an interview. But the interviewer wasn't me anymore. Since Jessica caused a scene at the Sterling family, the turmoil within the family hadn't stopped. He didn't have the energy to bother me anymore, and I was naturally thrilled about that. After the interview, we ran into each other in the hallway. He stared at me intently. "Sarah, are you doing well?" I nodded. "Very well." He clenched his fists nervously, his voice slightly pleading. "Sarah, I was wrong about the past, but I won't do it again in the future. I truly only love you. Can you give me one more chance to pursue you?" I looked up at him. I didn't hesitate for a second. No. Robert Sterling, your love is worthless. Besides, do you think you are worthy of me now? His eyes instantly turned red, and the next second, he couldn't control himself and started crying. His grief was obvious. But watching him, I felt nothing inside. Director, the program is about to start. At the sound of my assistant's call, I walked around him and left with large strides. Robert Sterling tried to reach out and grab me, but only grasped air. Even after walking a long distance, I could still hear his whimpering. Then, I closed the door and started my new job. I had already said it. I never look back. After that time, Robert Sterling probably hadn't given up, but he stopped showing up in front of me. Instead, he would send me text messages from time to time. Sometimes it was a greeting, sometimes a weather reminder, sometimes a 1,000-word essay of regret. I would look at them but wouldn't open them. I pretended they didn't exist. It was only when I met a new boyfriend and was about to get engaged that I blocked him. Then I announced the engagement news. My boyfriend is handsome, considerate, and very accomplished. I always feel relaxed and happy when I'm with him. As for Robert Sterling, the next time I heard about him, it was because he had gone to prison. After Robert Sterling forcibly terminated her pregnancy, Jessica teamed up with the Sterling family's rivals every day to target Robert Sterling. First, she caused trouble at the company, Kaus ING employees to quit because they couldn't stand it. Then she caused trouble at the Sterling family home, constantly stalking Aunt Eleanor and driving her to a nervous breakdown. They called the police, but Jessica was mentally unstable and was released. Later, Jessica blocked Robert Sterling again. In a fit of impulse, Robert Sterling actually hit her with his car. Jessica became a vegetable, and the chances of her waking up are very slim. I was horrified when I heard this, yet I didn't feel surprised. Robert Sterling had always been that kind of person. Impulsive, irritable, easily angered. He had just suppressed his true nature for my sake when he was with me. What goes around comes around. After being betrayed, I didn't fall into despair. Instead, I decisively escaped the abyss. That's why I live a relaxed and carefree life now. As for Robert Sterling and Jessica, one seeking thrills, the other coveting vanity, both were extremists. Ending up like this, they got what they deserved. Later, a friend contacted me and told me that Robert Sterling had requested to see me before going to prison. I thought about it and shook my head. I won't go. My friend's voice carried a hint of resentment as she spoke again. Sarah, this might be his last request. After all these years you had together, can't you just grant him this one thing? Do you have to be so heartless? I simply said, no. I can't. I had already said it. Being able to not hate him was already my limit. Anything more, I was unable to do. My future was bright. Why bother making myself uncomfortable for him? There was no need. Later, I got married and had a lovely child. My husband held my hand as we walked through my university campus, reminiscing about the past. I hadn't been back for many, many years. Lily was running ahead, chasing butterflies, while David and I walked slowly, talking, until we passed the famous graffiti wall. David, seeing such an interesting place for the first time, actually stopped and looked intently. As he looked, he suddenly waved at me and exclaimed softly, Sarah, your name is here. Only love Sarah. There seems to be another name in front of it. Who is it? I looked over, and with just one glance, I knew who had written it. But, I shook my head, I forgot. David smiled and teased me, looks like Sarah was very popular when she was in college. With that, he was quickly attracted to something else. And I stood there, my gaze returning to those 4 words. I suddenly remembered that afternoon many years ago. Robert Sterling, only 20 years old, stood in front of me, a hint of shyness on his remarkably handsome face. Sarah, I like you. Can you be with me? He was a prominent figure at the university at the time. He was the Sterling family heir, the little tyrant of the circle. And I was just an ordinary university student. My first reaction was that he must be playing a trick. But he wasn't. He was incredibly good to me. Only, later, it became a complete mess, unbearable to look back on. Unexpectedly thinking of Robert Sterling, I expected to feel a little wistful. But I felt nothing, only a sense of melancholy. Just then, I heard David's concerned voice, "Sarah, what's wrong?" I took his hand and smiled slightly. "Nothing, just thinking about something from a long time ago." He smiled back, and Lily ran back, throwing herself into my arms, whining for me to carry her. I called her a spoiled brat, and she huffed, refusing to be carried by me. "Dad, carry me." David rubbed her little head helplessly and picked her up. She lifted her chin towards me, looking incredibly smug. It made me just want to laugh. David held her with one arm and held my hand with the other, his voice trailing off with affection, "Let's go, my two little spoiled brats." My smile deepened, and I felt this was the happiest state to be in. It was what I wanted. Never look back. Let what's missed st. I missed Robert Sterling's extra story. Actually, I always thought Sarah would never leave me. Even if I betrayed her, deceived her, she would still love me. Because she loved me too cautiously. Everyone used to tell me, don't spoil Sarah too much either. But I knew it was Sarah who had always indulged me. She repeatedly refused promotion opportunities for me, gave up good study opportunities abroad for me. I once saw her crying behind my back. I wanted to tell her she didn't have to sacrifice so much for me. But every time, I didn't say anything. I used to think it was because I loved her too deeply, that I couldn't bear to let her leave me. But later, I realized it was because I knew she was radiant and outstanding, so I wanted to suppress her brilliance. After breaking up with me, no one could dim her sparkle, and she naturally became dazzling. And all I could do was watch her get better and better, moving further and further away from me. There was a time I was addicted to drinking. In my drunken dreams, I fantasized that Sarah and I hadn't broken up. She was right beside me, a gentle smile on her face, calling me Sterling. But waking up from the drunkenness, the space beside me was empty. My heart was empty, filled with cold wind. I thought countless times, if only I hadn't forgotten to turn off message notifications that night, then maybe Sarah wouldn't have found out about Jessica and me. Maybe she wouldn't have left me. My friend heard my words and his face turned grim. "Why are you thinking about Sarah not finding out, instead of you not messing around with Jessica? Does Sarah owe you something? Deserves to be lied to her whole life by a dirty man like you? Robert Sterling, you've been acting like a human for so many years, I almost forgot you're still an animal at heart." With that, he slammed the door and left, never coming back again. I also lost my last friend. He was right. I was indeed an animal. Just for Sarah, I temporarily put on a human skin. Sarah left, so I didn't need to pretend anymore. So, when Jessica provoked me repeatedly, even mocking me, I couldn't hold back anymore. Robert Sterling, you're not still thinking about winning Sarah back, are you? Doesn't Sarah think you're dirty? Does she know you're a hypocrite who likes twisted pleasures? I have all the videos of you, they're quite something. But she probably doesn't care anymore. After all, she already has a boyfriend, and she's getting engaged, so I ran her over with my car. As the police took me away, I passed by the giant screen in the central plaza. It was broadcasting Sarah's engagement ceremony. In the video, the man was on one knee, his hand holding the ring trembling uncontrollably. He looked completely unsteady. How could a person like that be worthy of Sarah? I scoffed. But Sarah, her eyes red-rimmed, said without hesitation, "I do." She put on the ring. The two of them hugged tightly. The friends around them started cheering. "Kiss her! Kiss her! Kiss her!" The man seemed a little shy, but Sarah lifted his chin and lightly kissed him on the lips. The man paused, then deepened the kiss. Later, I was taken away from the plaza and couldn't see anymore. With witnesses and physical evidence present, my trial was not difficult. The verdict came out quickly. Intentional homicide. Sentenced to 25 years in prison. I once asked my mother to convey a request for me to see Sarah one last time. But she didn't come. I wasn't surprised. She had always been that kind of person. Loved intensely, ended cleanly. She had said, Robert Sterling, I never look back. By the time I was released from prison, I was nearly 60 years old. Completely white-haired, hunched over. My parents had passed away long ago, and Sterling Corporation was now controlled by my younger brother. He sent someone to bring me back to the Sterling family. I wasn't in a hurry to go back. Instead, I followed an address and found a place. I didn't do anything. Just waited quietly for a whole morning. Until a sweet, childish voice appeared. Mom, you're almost 60, you're an elder, you shouldn't snatch my ice cream. Lily was seriously lecturing the beautiful mom holding her hand. Sarah blinked, her voice sounding pitiful, but I want to eat it. Then go ask Dad for it. Let Dad buy it for you. Ah, he won't. Lily exclaimed in surprise. Mom is so beautiful, and Dad won't buy you ice cream? You should run away from home. Sarah nodded, okay. Just as the two were secretly plotting when to run away from home, a man appeared behind them. Sarah Miller, what bad things are you saying about me now? I didn't say anything, your adorable daughter did. Sarah pushed Lily in front of the man. Lily argued confidently, Dad, why won't you buy Mom ice cream? Mom is so beautiful, don't you like her anymore? Sarah nodded in agreement. The man looked at the older one, then at the younger one. He sighed helplessly. I'll give it to you when we get home. Sarah's face instantly lit up with joy, making her even more beautiful. The man affectionately held her hand, my little spoiled brat. The three of them walked hand in hand, getting further and further away. Robert Sterling watched Sarah's retreating figure for a very long time. Sarah was the same age as me, but she still looked as beautiful as she did at 18. And she seemed more adorable and innocent than when she was with me. It was clear she had lived a wonderful life these past years. I suddenly remembered every word Sarah had said many years ago in that empty hallway. Robert Sterling, do you think you are worthy of me? Sarah was always right. I truly wasn't worthy of her. End of story.